The first question we ask new guests on the show is for you to tell us a story about either your worst date experience or weirdest sexual experience.
There's so many. It's like, where to even begin? But I was thinking about this. I'm sure you get that all the time, right?
Especially women, because guys are always like, oh, I've never had bad sex. I have great dates. And the women are like, they're all the worst.
Yeah, no. If only you knew. This one is definitely, I could definitely go more the, R-rated sex one, but I'm going to go with the PG. I can also do the R if we want, but the PG one is funny to me. And I think it was like my first or second match date ever and my first, online dating. And I saw this guy and I didn't really understand the concept of like sending pictures that maybe aren't accurate. Cause again, it was like the beginning of online dating. And he was like this buff lifeguard, which also sounds really sad now that I'm talking about it. But I was in my 20s and I was like, and he lived on Long Island, but sometimes came to the city. And I'm from Long Island, but I'm usually not into Long Island.
You like
guys.
buff guys. I don't know. I'm getting something. You might be related to Shannon. Because Shannon loves buff lifeguards.
I'm not always, but it was like, he also seemed really cool. He had like a husky voice. He was blonde, which I'm usually much more into dark-haired guys. So don't worry, I might be attracted to you. So
he might be blonde under there. You don't know.
You never know with these fucking big ass deli eyebrows of mine. You'll never know.
Yeah, it's true. Actually, no, but I will figure it out later. But but he was just cool. So we met and he did look like himself, except maybe 10 years older. I think the sun had really aged his face.
I wonder if we've maybe gone on a date with the same guy.
Holy shit.
Oh my God, maybe.
Because I had a guy, so just, not to cut you off, but just real quick.
Does this remind you of
Yes, it does.
And do you remember what beach he was a lifeguard at?
No, and I don't remember that he was a lifeguard, but everything else matches up. A guy from Long Island, and like his
blonde.
age, he was blonde. He wasn't that tall, but I'm a heightist, so
I think
tall
he was
different.
6'1", 2", something like that. Not like crazy tall. I've dated crazy tall before.
I was in my 20s and I decided to do a fun thing and go on sugarbabies.com.
Oh my God. I think I've had moments of considering that, mostly for money though.
It's starting to make sense.
Oh no, this isn't like arrangement. This is like just older gentlemen looking for younger ladies.
Well, they're probably not. But my purpose of going on there was that like at least I'll like find a guy to go into a relationship with who has money, not like a broke ass. And so I happened to be bartending at a club in Long Island. And so I was like, oh, I'm going to be working at this place. Why don't you come by? So it's not like a date and we could like scope each other out. And when he walked in, it didn't even register that he was him. That's how far off it was. He was so much older in person that it didn't even register.
Yeah, that's basically was similar to me where I was like, oh, it looks like you, but you've aged a lot. Either you've aged like within a few years from the sun, so you look 10 years older, or that was like 10 years ago, you know? And that's fine. But then it went downhill from there. He was a little slow. He talked about how he had been a pothead, but like years ago. And the way he was acting, he had like brain damage from smoking weed. And I was like, were you a pothead? Was there like something else going on? Are you still a pothead? At one point he was driving, which, was like a nice little treat because I never drive in the city. He was driving on a one-way street going down the wrong way.
No.
Oh, shit.
And I was like, do you see? I had to like tell him, I'm like, do you notice there's like cars coming this way? So he's like, oh, whoops. And he like turns and gets off. That's one thing. So then we get to this restaurant. We go to this Thai restaurant. He wanted to try Thai food, or maybe he had tried Thai food. I think he said he had tried it. And he was like, yeah, I love Thai. I'm like, me too. We go and it's loud. We're outside. It's like the summer. The waitress is like, brown rice or white rice? And he's like, what? And I think he was also hard of hearing, by the way. And she's like, brown rice or white rice? And he's like, what? And
I'm like, 85? was he much older?
And she says it again. And he's like, oh, I'll have fries with that. And I'm like, we're at a Thai restaurant. I guess you've never had to. So at that moment, I could feel my body like, I'm never going to have sex with this guy. Like, he just is so dumb. Like, there's no way. But he was nice and we talked. And then I thought, then he started to be a little more intelligent, but it mostly never got better. So that was a classic one, just because he kept doing stupid things like that were like, I think
just
you have brain damage.
Yeah, this is a bad one.
And then
what do you do when the guy's nice? You're like, fuck.
But also maybe something mentally, not only mentally, but definitely like a brain damage. That, so it didn't get like super bad, but it was definitely like one thing after another like that, where he was just like, old looking, hard of hearing, I think brain damaged. And he kind of just justified it because he used to be a pothead. I'm like, there's something else going on here. I mean, I used to be a pothead. I'm not like
So, but he like, you guys went through your whole dinner and then he like took you home?
Yeah, we went to a bar and like we started making out at one point and he thought I was like so funny, which I'm sure you get sometimes. He's like, you're just so, and he like kept asking me to, and this is before I was doing stand-up, but I was acting and directing and what.
Who paid for the tie? Who paid for the food?
He did pay for the food.
Okay.
So I will say that was one plus. I think I got him a drink because I've always,
That's nice.
often tried to do something. And I also think I was feeling bad. I'm like, I'm not going to see you. But you know what? I did give him a second chance. This was before. I don't do things like that now if it was so bad.
It was in case like his disability check ran out. He got one drink.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I don't know what's going on with you.
This guy's driving with a learner's permit. It's so bad.
Yeah, it was terrible. The other thing he did, which I get often when I tell people I'm a screenwriter, and I think at the time I might have been in film school because I went to grad film school, or I had just finished. He kept like pitching screenplays idea. And if you guys can tell, he wasn't the brightest bulb. So I was like, yeah, that's a great idea. That's been done like 1,000 times. So it was just a really torturous. But then I felt bad and I saw him again. And I think he did the driving on the wrong side of the road
You
thing
hung out with him again.
Just, yeah, again, I wouldn't do that now.
Are you into older guys? Was that were you kind of attracted to him?
He was supposed to be just like a year or two older than me.
Okay.
I honestly mostly dated younger guys in my 30s, but this was in my 20s. I didn't think he was older. I didn't want him to be.
Yeah.
I had a boyfriend that was like 6 or 7 years older. I'm not against it, but I don't know what age he was at the end of the day.
You gave him a shot, even though you're risking your life in the car.
Bad.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that now, but yeah. So that's my more PG. I could tell a more R if you want a weird sex thing that was just bizarre.
Yeah, let's go for it.
We're friends, we're family.
I know you guys talk about this stuff all the time. This was like a dumb move on my part, but also very strange. My friend and I were at a club, like a little club in the Village. I can't think of the name of it. It's, I think, on Bleecker. I don't even know if it exists anymore. It's fairly close to, the whole NYU area. And we met these two guys, and I was like totally wrapped up in feelings. I was getting over somebody else at the time, but we're like gonna go crazy and drinking and stuff. And these guys this must have been their move. This one guy's like, I live across the street. Why don't we take the party?
Was it Ralph Sutton? Because I didn't feel like
oh God, maybe.
I know the sushi place. You guys want to come on by? We can
It was like that kind of. And again, I wouldn't do this now, but my friend was like, maybe, I don't know. All right, let's do it. So we go and we're like smoking weed with them. And then I don't know why my friend, one, did this, and two, I basically just stayed. But my friend's like, I'm going to go. And which just seems like a really bad move on a friend part. So I'm like with these two strange guys alone. And I'm like, okay. She's like, you want to go? And I'm like, no, I'll stay. And I don't know why, because I was like somewhat attracted to the guy. But again,
they're both strangers.
They're both strangers.
What a bad friend. I hope you're not friends with her still.
We're not friends anymore, actually.
There you go.
I know, like thinking back, I'm like, that was really not cool on your part. And I should have left. But again, I was like a little drunk and I was a little upset about a guy. So at some point, I start making out with one of them, the taller one, I'll say. The other one was a little short. They were like definitely similar looking. I think they were Lithuanian. I don't remember, but they're both like darker, and like it definitely seemed like the shorter one was like the sidekick and the other one's like the attractive one. And we start making out. We go to his room. I think they were roommates. I can't remember. And next thing I know, the other guy comes in the room, and I'm like,
yeah.
Now, of course, I'm explaining. I'm like, no shit. But I had never experienced this before. And I think I was at least somewhat naked. I can't remember. And he's like, the one I'm making out with, who was just such a dick looking back. He was like, he likes to go down on girls when I have sex with them, or while I'm making out with them. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, no, this is so weird. And I totally panicked, and I didn't really know what to do. And he was like, come on. They're both like, come on. They're both like trying to get me.
Yeah, they pressured you to it. They pressured you on.
They were definitely pressuring me. I did stand my ground somewhat. I got the guy I was like, I'm not going to keep doing this with the, attractive guy.
With Robin over here.
Yeah, with your sidekick. Yeah. And he's like, the sidekick's like, what? He's like trying. It's like,
come on, please. Come on.
I really like doing this. And I'm like, I know, but this is weird. I didn't agree to
this. It doesn't mean you can't do it if you like doing it.
Yeah.
You know?
Just not with me.
Yeah.
And so he eventually left, but it felt like that took forever. And then I basically like gave the guy a hand job because I wanted to just get out there, and I didn't know how else. Now, again, being older, I would have been like, fuck you, motherfucker. But like, it was just, I just felt so cornered. And then I basically like ran and was like, these guys are terrifying. So that was a
you
fun
got out with your life.
Yeah, you took a big risk.
Right?
That's good.
That was so dumb, of course.
Yes.
I would never do anything like that now.
Unraped and alive.
Yeah.
I feel like best case scenario. And you stood your ground and didn't give in to the other guy, which I feel like most girls a little drunk in their 20s would have been like, I mean.
And they really kept trying to, like, I mean, I'm simplifying it, but I feel like it went on for like 20 minutes, like trying to convince me, and I'm like, I'm not going to change my mind on this. I feel uncomfortable. And it basically took me having to threaten the other guy, like, I'm not going to do anything with you.
No hand job.
Yeah,
no hand job.
I mean, I think I maybe, was saying I'll give you a blowjob or something. And then I basically, like, mostly gave him a hand job. And I'm like, fuck you. This is what you deserve. You don't even deserve this.
Not too bad.
Not too bad at all. It's sad, but we all go through something like that.
Oh, yeah.
We all kind of, it happens, and hopefully you learn your lesson and you end up okay.
Yeah.
Did you get trapped in a situation and have to give a hand job?
No, I'd have to give a hand job. I had to make out with a chick.
Women?
No. I had to make out with a chick that I didn't want to make out with. She just ate pizza and her whole breath smelled like garlic, and she was the worst kisser ever. But she was she was a model. She was a big girl model. She was a plus size model that I met next to the comic strip when I was back fucking 10 years ago. And I went to her place with her friends, and they were doing blow, and I should have left, whatever, because I had a girlfriend, so I ended up cheating on my girlfriend and making out with this fat chick. I mean, she was beautiful. She was stunning, and I looked like the way I look now. But I did not want to kiss her, but I just did it because you're drunk, you're there, you're in the moment, you're doing it. You're like, all right, let's do it.
I don't want to ruin the party.
The whole train ride home, I'm sniffing my lip, and it just smelled like fucking oregano. It was so bad. But we all do it, and it happens. And thank God they could have killed me. They could have both murdered me.
Yeah, you never know.